Hi guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to the desktop for another Retro Books, and this time I would like to present this, the Aliens Colonial Marines Technical Manual, which came out in 1995. Now, when I was making my video earlier this week on the Shadowrun Adventure DNA DOA, I looked up some old reviews to see how it had been received at the time. And I noticed in the copy of Games Master International, I think it had been reviewed by Lee Brimmock and Wood. And I thought, I know that name. So I went looking along my bookcase, and sure enough, I spotted this book. And I was like, I remember that. That was absolutely fabulous. So I did some background reading on it, and I didn't realise how much I had wanted this book. You see, in the UK, they used to produce an Aliens comic book. But most of it was reprints of the old Dark Horse comics, based on the Aliens movies, the further adventures of Ripley, Aliens vs. Predator, all the origins of that side of stuff. But the rest of the book was background stuff, how the movies were made. And one of the parts was the technical readout section, where they went over the equipment in the Aliens universe, the starships, the weapons, the power lifter, the dropship and all that, and detailed them out, giving technical descriptions for them. And that was incredibly popular, so much so that they created this book, the Colonial Marines Technical Manual. And I am an absolute sucker for blueprints and fake science fiction background information. I absolutely adore all the background books you've got for Star Wars these days with breakaway images of the starships. And I absolutely love everything with blueprints. I just love looking through that kind of stuff. Probably going back to the first book I had of that style, which was for the Disney movie The Black Hole. I remember that, me having a movie book of that, which had a beautiful blueprint of the Palomino starship out of that. But anyway, let's have a look at the back cover of this, and let's have a quick look through. So, Aliens Colonial Marines Technical Manual. Check it out. We've got tactical smart missiles, phased plasma cannons, pulse rifles, RPGs, we've got nukes, we've got knives, we've got sharp sticks. The United States Colonial Marines, ultimate troubleshooters equipped with state-of-the-art firepower, capable of power projection across the vast expanse of deep space. They can sharpshoot a man at 1,000 meters or obliterate an entire world from the safety of orbit. They reckon they are unbeatable. But on a dirtball colony planet, known only as LV-426, the unthinkable happened. The Marines lost. The Aliens Colonial Marines Technical Manual is your official guides to the equipment and organization in the United States Colonial Marine Corps. Packed with never-before-published diagrams, technical schematics, and plans, the manual takes a detailed look at the guns, vehicles, and ships of the USCMC and the men and women who use them. A must for all Aliens fans, this book examines the technology of the film's futuristic nightmare in every detail and tries to discover exactly what went wrong in LV-426. Inside, well, the layout's fairly nice, but we're getting into the meat of it. So we start off with the United States Colonial Marines. We go out through the organization. We've got some nice versions of the logos and shoulder badges. Their dispositions across the galaxy. Different planets where they're based, and what parts of the Corps are based there, how they recruit and train. This is nothing special, but then we've got some nice pictures of how they are organised. We've got a nice picture of the M41A pulse rifle and a Marine holding it. Now, a lot of these were taken of the staff at Alien War. It was based in London. And basically it took groups of civilians through a space colony under attack from aliens. And you got escorted through, and aliens would pop out of the walls, and people would fire blank firing guns, and it was a great thing. I know especially about this because Alien War actually started in Glasgow. And I got to visit it 3 times in its original format, and then they rebooted it and brought it back just sort of 10 years ago. And I took my wife to it for one final time, where it was very, very different. The first 3 times I went to it was based around the Alien 3 movie, and you were being shuttled off the planet. You were a civilian. And the Marine would take you through, various sci-fi looking corridors. They were dressed as a Marine with a gun. And aliens would appear, you know, the lights would cut out, and when they cut back up, there'd be an alien stood just in front of you, and you'd have to run away from them. It was great stuff. It was a really enjoyable event. I've had plenty of stories about that. But anyway, we carry on through. We've got diagrams of the different grenades, the harness that they wear with the cameras and radio headset, the pivoting arm for carrying a smart gun on, the M41A specifications, you know, how much it weighs. We've got details about the M56 smart gun. You know, detailing exactly how all the parts of it are, fire arcs, firing from prone, smart gun movement, and what the camera operators or what the smart gun views like, how to field strip it. Then we've got the M240 flamethrower. And the thing about this book, which is kind of amazing, is everything that's come after it has kind of base things. So there are weapons in here which pop up for the first time, never mentioned before in the movies, which will then pop up in games and other media afterwards. So we've got their sniping rifle, the M42A. Got ghillie suits used for disguising themselves, hiding out. The M4A3 pistol. Their battle dress and BDUs. Now the standard load. Their bulletproof vests. Marine 70 review. Again, this is probably somebody from Alien War in their outfit. The smart gunner outfit. How they advance, you know, each group covering the other. Detailed pictures of the equipment. And then we're on to the vehicles. So the drop ships with the Bug Stomper logo on it. How the airframe is. An absolutely beautiful detailed cutaway view of it with all the sections. The power plant and how the ramjet works. I have to admit that as a younger man and not having access to technical things, this is where I first learnt how ramjets work, because it goes into quite a bit of detail. I've done reading since, because I've been sort of interested in the space program and that, but this was where I picked up the basics of how they worked. Stealth characteristics of the dropship, sensors, avionics, defensive systems, really going through the dropship in massive detail. Fire control jamming towed array, so something they can tow behind it so missiles will strike that instead of hitting the dropship itself. The pilot's outfits, going through different variants of it, the UD4B up to the UD4L, talking about the pilots, different colour schemes, the different weapons on them, so Hellhound missiles, Headlock missiles, again with diagrams of them. The Headlock obviously being a more advanced version of the sort of Sidewinder we get around these days. Then we've got the Marine Assault Unit with the M577 Armoured Personnel Carrier, the APC used in the movies. And then we continue past that, because they have different turret options. And we've got the M40 Ridgeway tank, which again I believe has been used in media since. This is the first place it popped up. M5 rocket-propelled grenade launchers. M83A2 SADARs, shoulder-launched anti-homing disposable anti-tank rocket, which is a bit of a mouthful. M112 HIMAT, the different fire control options. Different artillery, the M292, self-propelled gun. Mines, different pop-ups and claymore mines. The synthetics, so how Bishop is built and worked. Logistics, the power loaders, going through everything in the movies, fighting in alien environments, so different spacesuits. That looks very similar to the original movie, Alien, rather than Aliens, but this looks like a more light, flexible version. Alien biological threats, I wonder what they could be talking about there. Sensor sources, So how they feed information to one another. So the Tactical Operations Center on board the APC gets feedback from satellites in orbit, from the dropship sensors, from sensors that they stow around, from sentry guns, and from the camera video feeds and motion trackers that the Marines actually carry on foot. And it's all sourced back to the commander back in the Tactical Operations Center. Kind of as we see in the movie, but it's nice to have it broken down. We've got the motion trackers, how they work. Drop ships, so they can be fired down instead of requiring one of the larger vessels. Nuclear weapons, biological weapons. The Sulaco, the large carrier vessel which takes them there at the start of the movie, along with the hypersleep, life support systems. Talks through the tactics and all that. So we've got emergency systems here, stealth characteristics, different weaponry that it carries, you know, rail guns, missile bays, the layout of the long lance missiles, fragmentation mines, the re-entry vehicles, the small dropships, decoy balloons, so something which can be dropped to get missiles to fire at them instead. Emergency escape systems. Weapons, tactics, battlefield. You know, deploying orbital nets, which will smash a ship as they fly into it. Weapons ranges and how they engage other starships. Now on to details about the United States commercial starship Nostromo. The different places it went, where it originally set off from. Details about the voyage back in Alien, Captain Dallas and the Facehugger. Going right through, right up through the events of Alien. So we've got the shuttlecraft Narcissus here. We've got the events on LV-426. The power loader battle with the Queen Alien. More information about the eggs. Information from Bishop about how what he thought the eggs would work. Dihotide Tractor, so the vehicle which went out in the extended version of Aliens. I don't think it turns up in the original movie, the uncut version, but I'm pretty sure it definitely shows up in the extended edition, where Newt's parents get infested with facehuggers and chestbursters. We've got information about the atmosphere processors. And then we reach the end, a massive page of credits. Now, I absolutely adore this book. I'm really glad I got it back in the 90s. It's lovely detailed diagrams of things. Lots of in-world stuff, and as I said, it's been used as a source for so much since. I would not be surprised if the Alien role-playing game is packed with details lifted from this book as well. But anyway, I think I've whittled on for quite long enough as usual. So thank you very much for watching as always. But most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.